From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Bola Tinubu addresses world leaders in Abu Dhabi, urging equitable climate finance and strong capacity building for developing nations to meet climate commitments. Owo church attack survivor recounts harrowing escape from explosion during June 5, 2022 Sunday Mass, sharing details of the deadly incident and her narrow survival. Just 1 week after Governor Caleb Mutfwang joins the APC, the People's Democratic Party takes steps to reaffirm their political influence in Plateau State. And U.S. President Donald Trump urges Iranian anti-government protesters to continue demonstrating, assuring them that support and international attention are on the way.
And on business, Nigeria is set to regulate AI as lawmakers push new artificial intelligence law.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles set to prolong Morocco's almost 50-year wait for their second AFCON trophy when both sides meet in Wednesday's 2025 semi-finals in Rabat.
And from Abuja, National Association of Resident Doctors confirms implementation of its agreement with federal government is drawing significant attention from stakeholders.
We begin tonight with a call from President Bola Tinubu for equitable climate finance and robust capacity building for developing countries to help them support true climate commitments without losing focus on advancing their own developments and priorities. The president made this call while delivering a keynote address on the first day of the ongoing Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week in the United Arab Emirates, where he also announced that Nigeria had concluded a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the UAE to deepen trade and cooperation in renewable energy, infrastructure, logistics, and digital trade. Our State House correspondent Lanre Lasisi reports.
It is the opening ceremony of the 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. The President of the United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, leads an audience made up of heads of states, ministers, business leaders, and others. The Minister of Industry and Advanced Technology of the United Arab Emirates gives the opening speech, highlighting the undeniable union between artificial intelligence and energy for the next era of human progress.
Artificial intelligence is rewiring every industry, reshaping every sector, and resetting expectations for global growth. And while the world is changing around us, one constant remains, and that is energy. There is no artificial intelligence without actual energy.
Next is the award ceremony for the Zayed Sustainability Prize, which sees several winners emerge.
Let's hear it for our winner, N&E. Let's hear it for Base Foundation.
The opening ceremony is followed by the first session of the summit, which featured President Bola Tinubu delivering his keynote address.
Underscores the urgency.
He says the summit is an opportunity to align climate action with energy access, economic growth, job creation, and social inclusion.
The foundation of every modern economy is electricity. As an emerging economy in the global south, we understand the delicate balance between industrialization and decarbonization, so that one is not pursued at the expense of the other. we are calling for a fundamental shift in global financial architecture. A move away from the restrictive requirement of sovereign guarantees, which unfairly penalize developing countries.
He also informed the gathering that Nigeria has concluded a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the UAE to deepen trade and cooperation in renewable energy, infrastructure, logistics, and digital trade.
The agreement will deepen trade, unlock sustainable investments, and strengthen cooperation in renewable energy, aviation, logistics, agriculture, digital trade, and climate-smart infrastructure, creating enduring opportunities for our people and businesses.
The president also announced that Nigeria will co-host Investopia with the United Arab Emirates in Lagos in February 2026, an initiative aimed at attracting global investors and accelerating sustainable investment inflows. The day's session also featured panel discussions as the opening ceremony lays the foundation for cross-sector collaboration and breakthrough solutions. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
While the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, says the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement signed with the United Arab Emirates opened the door for Nigeria's businesses into the regional hub of the Middle East. Speaking after the signing ceremony, the minister says that Nigerian exporters will have over 7,000 product lines that will enter the UAE market duty-free.
Nigerian exporters will have over 7,000 product lines, from agricultural products to pharmaceuticals, that will enter the UAE market duty-free. So that's a big one for our non-oil exports under the Renewed Hope agenda. Also, Nigeria will be diversifying and accelerating exports in various sectors. Also, Nigeria will be welcoming investors from the UAE in critical sectors such as infrastructure, financial services. These are areas where we're prioritizing industrialization, we're prioritizing services where we're competitive. This agreement has been a long time coming. We've negotiated for about 11 months, very tough negotiation, but both sides are delighted that we have a good deal. This particular agreement will allow Nigerian businesses access into that regional hub of the Middle East, and it's a gateway to the rest of the world. It's an area where Nigerians are competitive in services. Nigerians will have up to 3 months to go into the UAE market in a 12-month period. Nigerians will have the opportunity, managers, business owners, to set up offices in the UAE. We're also improving transport and logistics. We know that Emirates will also be expanding into Abuja again by Q1 of this year. So it's a lot of things that we have in store for Nigerian businesses. What we want to say is that we want Nigerian businesses to take full advantage of this agreement that has been negotiated for them.
And staying in the Middle East, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Mr. Dele Alake, has extended a hand of partnership to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as well as investors in the country, to establish processing factories in Nigeria. He made the call during a meeting with the country's Minister of Industry and Mineral Resources, Mr. Bandar bin Ibrahim Al Khair, in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. According to Mr. Alake, under President Tinubu's administration, about 3 Chinese companies have set up processing factories, and there is still room for more foreign investments in the sector, highlighting investment areas to include lithium, gold, iron ore, among other things. Mr. Alake also reeled out successes achieved, especially the federal government's value addition policy, which he says has yielded results, and it's a major contributor to the growth of the sector. On his part, the Saudi minister believes that the two countries identify areas in partnership that will transcend into meaning and mutual value addition. Both ministers are expected to sign a memorandum of understanding to formalize this partnership. And back home, Vice President Kashim Shettima has called on public servants to imbibe the virtues of courage, discipline, and result-oriented leadership. This, he believes, is critical to strengthening governance and public institutions in the country. He was speaking in the nation's capital, Abuja, as the chairman of the governance colloquium organized in honor of the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination and head Central Delivery Coordination Unit, Hadiza Bala Usman. Our correspondent Victoria Longjan reports.
Vice President Kashim Shettima and a host of top government officials are amongst invited guests at this governance colloquium organized in honor of the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, Hadiza Bala Usman. The event is not just in celebration of a personality, but provides an opportunity for leaders in the public and private sectors to reflect on accountability, effective public service, and the courage required to drive transformative change in Nigeria.
She co-founded the Bring Back Our Girls movement as a sustained civic intervention that gave voice to those young girls and made sure that their stories were told. Her appointment in 2016 as Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority by the late former President, His Excellency Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, marked a historic moment not only as the first woman to lead the institution, but as one entrusted with reforming one of Nigeria's most strategic and complex agencies.
You exemplify the finest virtues of patriotism, integrity, and selfless service, deploying your vast experience and intellect in the service of a stronger, more efficient, and more prosperous Nigeria.
The colloquium also featured a keynote address by public policy expert Dr. Joe Abba, who emphasized the role of disciplined leadership in achieving sustainable reforms.
Some of the work that I did on passports is taking 10 years since we did that work for Nigerians to begin to see a difference in passport administration. That's how it is. So do not get frustrated at the fact that you're not seeing the results you hope for immediately. And do not lose hope, as I will not lose hope, that one day we will start to implement aspects of the Roswell report.
The chairman of the event, Vice President Kashim Shettima, while eulogizing the unique public service career of Hadiza Bala Usman, charged public servants to imbibe the virtue of result-oriented leadership.
If we are to raise more generations of Nigerians ready to lead with purpose, to deliver with excellence and to serve with courage, we must remember this truth. Intention without the willingness to pay the price of service remains wishful thinking. We have shown by example that excellence in public life is a daily discipline.
Moved to tears, Hadiza Bala Usman thanked the president and others who have contributed to her career.
I truly appreciate everyone. There are a lot of people that I'm not able to mention. Former Attorney General Adoke has been a strong anchor supporter of me all through my dramas across MPA coming into the government, and also the aspects of my life that speak to the politics, election planning, with Comrade spoke to aspects of things that not a lot of people are aware about how much involved I am.
The event ends with a renewed call for ethical leadership, institutional coherence, and result-oriented public service as Nigeria continues on its reform journey. From Abuja, Victoria Longjan, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Owo church attack survivor recounts harrowing escape from explosion during the June 5, 2022 Sunday Mass, sharing details of the deadly incident and her narrow survival. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. President Bola Tinubu addresses world leaders in Abu Dhabi, urging equitable climate finance and strong capacity building for developing nations to meet climate commitments. Owo church attack survivor recounts harrowing escape from explosion during June 5, 2022 Sunday Mass, shares details of the deadly incident and her narrow survival. And just 1 week after Governor Caleb Mutfwang joined the APC, the PDP takes steps to reaffirm its political influence in Plateau State. And U.S. President Donald Trump urges Iranian anti-government protesters to continue demonstrating, assuring them that support and international attention are on the way. Turning our attention to politics now. Barely 1 week after Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State defected to the All Progressives Congress, the People's Democratic Party has now moved to reaffirm its own political relevance in the state. Leaders of the party, who had a meeting in Jos, the state capital, to review their own strategy ahead of the general election in 2027, are concerned that the nation is drifting towards a one-party rule in view of the latest defections. Our correspondent Percy Dabang reports.
The Plateau State chapter of the People's Democratic Party is pushing back against claims that defections have weakened its base, and this stakeholders meeting in Jos, the state capital, is aimed at reaffirming the unity and strategic direction of the party. Plateau has traditionally been regarded as a PDP stronghold until recent political alignment altered the landscape. The meeting is coming after the defection of Governor Caleb Mutfwang to the APC, and the party maintains that the state is still loyal to the PDP, dismissing reports that the party is weak in the state.
Nigeria is the only country that I've seen when somebody is elected on a platform of a party. We take the mandate of that party and go to another party and we go see them. I don't know whether they see peaceful. This is something Nigerians must think. And this is something we must correct in our political life.
The meeting, which is considered timely and strategic, considers several issues affecting the party, including unity, poor communication between leaders and the grassroots, and inclusiveness for youth, women, and persons living with disabilities.
Plateau is a traditional PDP state. Plateau is a traditional PDP state. The PDP dies today, we all die with it. We all go PDP. Don't have let's all remain in PDP.
Outside the meeting hall, supporters are resolute that Plateau is PDP.
We are in PDP and we die with it. And forever is PDP. Plateau State is PDP and PDP is Plateau State. No changing. Forget about no changing.
For now, the party leaders believe that Nigeria's democracy is stronger when opposition parties retain their voices. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
We head to the Federal High Court in Ado-Ekiti now, which has nullified the People's Democratic Party's governorship primary that elected Dr. Wole Oluyede as the candidate and ordered a rerun. Justice Babs Kwewumi, in his judgment, upheld the concerns of irregularities raised by a fellow contestant under the PDP, Mr. Funsho Ayeni, who challenged the process, citing questionable manipulation of the approved delegate list on the day of election. An action, he says, undermined transparency, internal democracy, and fairness. The PDP Southwest Zonal Publicity Secretary, Sonia Atofarati, says the party has the right to appeal the judgment and that the legal team will act on it immediately, maintaining that the court rulings does not stop the arraignment of the party for the forthcoming election on June the 20th, 2026. Governor Hyacinth Ali of Benue State has formally enrolled as the #1 member of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, in the state, following the commencement of the party's nationwide e-registration and revalidation exercise. This exercise was officially launched in Ihu, with the governor's hometown in Vandakia local government area of Benue State.
The e-registration and revalidation of membership exercise by the ruling All Progressives Congress in Benue State has been officially flagged off in the hometown of Governor Yasin Alia. The governor leads the exercise as is registered as the #1 member of the party in the state. After his registration, he is handed a slip by the acting chairman of the party in the state, Mr. Benjamin Omale.
I'm quite excited and happy to be back home for this e-registration. This is the beginning of another level of progression of the All Progressives Congress.
Governor Alia applauded the initiative and urges members to make the most of the opportunity by demonstrating that they are ready to vote for consolidation.
Was done in 2023 is very different from this newness of this e-registration. I'm pleased to know that you want me to come back as your governor in 2027, and my dear President and Father, and our dear President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Ahmed Tinubu Jaga.
The acting state chairman of the APC in Benue State calls for increased membership drive.
Let me thank the national chairman who also aligned with this exercise, ensuring that all APC states are captured in this re-registration. Members of the National Working Committee also are appreciated.
The e-registration and revalidation exercise is taking place in all the 23 local government areas of the state, with a team headed to Kwande to raise more awareness.
To security matters, a survivor of the attack of St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, has recounted how she escaped the explosion which occurred during a Sunday Mass. At least 40 persons died in that incident when an explosive device was detonated within the premises of the church on June the 5th, 2022. Testifying as the third prosecution witness at the resumed trial of the suspect, the witness informed the Federal High Court Abuja that the attack occurred during the Pentecost Sunday Mass. During the court process, one of the witnesses identified the alleged assailant. The Department of State Services says it plans to recall 10 witnesses to give evidence in the trial.
The trial of the alleged suspects in the June 5, 2022 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State, resumes at the Federal High Court, Abuja. The defendants are being prosecuted by the Department of State Services following an application for accelerated hearing granted by the trial judge, Justice Emeka Nwite. The prosecution witness is identified as a female from Achara in Anambra State, with her names withheld. She was simply identified as SSC, as she gave her testimony behind a veil as part of the witness protection operation of the prosecution team. In her testimony, she told the court how the explosion from the attack damaged her left leg. Giving details of the explosion, she stated how she saw the lifeless body of her 2-year-old cousin outside the church premises, shot at the back of the head. She also gave details of her medical procedures to regain her leg, which meant she had to walk with an iron implant in her left leg. Another prosecution witness, a retired security officer who's a resident of Owo, also gave his account of the attack. He told the court that he heard gunshots while Mass was ongoing, adding that it was followed by sporadic shooting within the premises, which he believes threw the congregation into panic. While giving a vivid account of the incident, the witness said there were 4 explosions on that day, stating that the explosions caused serious damage to the church building. The witness explained how he laid on the ground during the shooting and only raised his head when the shooting stopped. He added that he escaped through a window where he saw the bodies of a woman beside a vehicle and a man near the church fence.
You don't pry into it.
The witnesses confirmed that they had made statements to the DSS on the incident, and the statements were admitted as evidence.
This case is very important to the federal government of Nigeria. You recall that when it happened, the entire security agency swung into action. And eventually, through strenuous and very thorough and forensic investigation, the DSS burst the bubble of the syndicate. And the most important, let them come and establish the case.
The case has been adjourned to January the 14th for continuation of trial.
The police have confirmed the attack on Otobi community in Otokpo local government area of Benue State, where 4 persons, including the House of Assembly candidate of Otokpo Akpa State constituency on the platform of the People's Democratic Party in the 2019 general election, Mr. Igabe Ochi, was killed by bandits. The attack, which happened about 1:30 a.m. today, followed Sunday night's kidnap attempt at Ekwora Brabak in Otobi, but it was foiled by the Community Volunteer Guard commander, Mr. Cheme Jackson, and his team, prompting a high security alert in that community. Local sources have confirmed that the community has been signaled out by suspected herdsmen for attacks following the killing of 13 persons on April the 15th last year, and another attack that claimed 3 more lives in May 2025. Giving further insights, community sources explain that the attackers may have taken advantage of the window of opportunity to attack and began shooting when the surveillance team from the railway crossing into the jammy part of Otobi pulled back to rest at about 1:30 a.m. According to police, investigations have started to arrest and bring the perpetrators to justice. And in Kaduna State, the police command says it has successfully repelled an attack by armed bandits in Giwa local government area, neutralizing 2 suspects and recovering firearms. According to the spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command, Mansir Hassan, intelligence revealed that the bandits, led by a notorious kingpin, identified as Kachala Sanusi Bajira, were mobilizing to invade Idisu village in Bayan Kogi in Giwa local government area after residents failed to pay an illegal levy imposed on them. He explains that the Commissioner of Police then directed operatives of the anti-kidnapping unit in collaboration with members of the Civilians Joint Task Force to move to the area and overpower the attackers. During that operation, 2 firearms and 5 rounds of live ammunition were recovered. Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria is set to regulate AI as lawmakers push new artificial intelligence law. And that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. The Yobe state government has built 2 additional ultra-modern markets in Machina and Yunusari communities in Yobe state. And this is part of recovery efforts from the Boko Haram insurgency. The State Commissioner for Home Affairs, Information and Culture, Mr. Abdullahi Bego, told journalists to inspect the project and inspected the sesame factory in Machina, as well as the 300-kilometer Nguru Kumaganam road. The projects, mostly located in broader communities, are aimed at boosting economic and agricultural activities in the hard-to-reach areas.
The Yobe State Commissioner for Home Affairs, Information and Culture, and his counterpart from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development are leading journalists on a tour of completed projects in communities impacted by Boko Haram insurgency. Yunusari Ultra-Modern Market in Yunusari local government area is the first port of call. The market has over 96 shops and over 150 stalls. The team also visited the market in Machina local government, a community that has been yearning for a modern market over the years.
Here, as we can see all, we have a very befitting modern market, which we have about 96 shops and 146 open stalls. These are the stalls. while the shops, and we have about 46 stores. Sorry, yes, stores and warehouses. So we have meat shop, we have the admin block, we have the police station, we have the fire service station, as well as banking hall.
The projects are situated in border communities as the state government aims to explore the economic and agricultural potential of the communities.
One of the effects of the insurgency was to destroy our economy. Local communities have had their lives and livelihoods disturbed. And many have lost dear ones. And so His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Yobe State, thought that there is need to rebuild communities, to reinvigorate economic activities, to ensure that people can go back to their farms and their markets, to ensure that they can rebuild their lives. So one of the things that His Excellency decided to do is to build markets where economic activities can be spurred, where economic activities can be restored. You can see that when you have an environment such as this one, you are encouraging the local community to come and transact. You know, His Excellency is providing a lot of support in terms of agriculture, you know, input, equipment, fertilizer, etc. And so when people finish from their farms, they can come to their markets.
The team also inspected the completed sesame factory in Machina, the ongoing Gashua Masaba Road, as well as the completed Unguru, Kumadugu, Bulangua Road projects.
The United States has reinforced Nigeria's security efforts with the delivery of key military supplies to Nigerian security agencies. In a statement shared on X today, the United States Africa Command, AFRICOM, confirmed that the U.S. forces delivered critical military equipment to their Nigerian partners in the nation's capital, Abuja. Well, according to AFRICOM, the delivery is aimed at supporting Nigeria's ongoing security operations and highlights the strong security partnership between both nations. This development follows earlier assurances by the federal government that the United States is ready to deepen security cooperation with Nigeria. That commitment includes enhanced intelligence sharing, defense equipment, and other strategic partnership and support to strengthen the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. In November last year, the federal government dispatched a high-level delegation to Washington to expand security collaboration and explore new areas of partnership. And that delegation was led by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. It held strategic meetings with senior officials and the U.S. Congress, the White House Faith Office, the State Department, the National Security Council, and the Department of Defense. We shift gears now. We head to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Millicent Walker is standing by to bring us more stories on the news at 10. Over to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Anne. And we begin with health. The National Association of Resident Doctors has confirmed that the implementation of its agreement with the federal government is receiving considerable attention. The president of the association, Dr. Mohammed Sulaiman, confirmed this during a media briefing in Abuja. According to him, the leadership of the association will be having another meeting with the federal government delegation to iron out some issues, including hazard allowance for members and unpaid salaries by some state governments. He reiterated calls for federal and state governments to stick to the tenets of the agreement in the interest of industrial harmony.
The federal government has reinstated all our members back to FTA Lokoja. The only area of disagreement is a recommendation requiring 2 of our members, though reinstated back to Lokoja, to apply for transfer out of the center. That is still being discussed because NAD rejects that. There's also a clear communication between the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and the Office of the Accountant General for implementing the corrected professional allowance table this January, and for it, an acknowledgement that it has been captured in the 2026 budget. Now, the Federal Ministry of Labour, after the intervention of all these well-meaning Nigerians, also communicated the Ministry of Finance and the Accountant General on the need for the outstanding 25-35% to be paid. We are hoping that that process will be expedited for payment very soon. There's also the matter of promotion areas. Remember that this promotion areas is for medical officers all the way back to from 2020 to last year. Now, this has been forwarded to the Ministry of Finance, and we have engaged the Ministry of Finance, who have assured us that a payment plan is going to be before us very, very soon. Same thing with salary arrears for 4 centers, OAUTHC Ile-Ife, FMC Owo, UUTH Uyo, and the Federal University of Health Science Teaching Hospital Otuku. This has been forwarded from the Ministry of Health to the Ministry of Finance, and we are in conversation again for an expedited payment plan. Very soon we'll have that. There's also a communication between the Federal Ministry of Health and the Committee of CMDs, finally putting to rest the issue of the entry level of medical doctors into civil service, pegging it now by the directive of the head of service at COMMES 3.
Let's head to Edo State, where the governor, Mr. Monday Okpebholo, has approved the release of the arrested suspect over the Ekpoma protest of Saturday. So far, 7 other suspects have been released. According to the Edo State Commissioner for Education, Mr. Paddy Yamo, who was on ground to facilitate the release, only those confirmed and verified as students will regain their freedom.
Some persons that tagged themselves students went on rampage, and from protest it turned out to be a riot, stealing, maiming people, and all that, going into even the palace of the king to steal even the weave of his wife, steal Indomie. So that's no longer a protest, and people should understand that those same people are part of Edo State, and they will cry to the governor, and of course he's saddled with the responsibility of securing their lives and property. So, irrespective of whose ox is God, he gave the clear instruction to the Nigerian police, and the police did their job. They did the raid, carried out the raid and all that. And at the end of the day, those that are not culpable should be released. That's the instruction of the governor, and that's what we're doing.
Still staying in Edo State, the government has promised to rebuild the Police Officers' Wives Association power shops in Ekpoma Eastern West local government area destroyed in the fire incident Sunday night, assuring affected traders of swift intervention and renewed security measures. Governor Monday Okpebholo, who visited the scene Monday evening, linked the fire incident to violence and sabotage, vowing to bring perpetrators to justice regardless of status or influence. According to him, he was accompanied on that visit by top officials, including the Commissioner for Public Security and Safety, the Commissioner of Police, Edo State, and the Commander of the 4th Brigade Nigerian Army, among others.
The items and commodity worth in this shop is so much that we cannot even want to estimate before we start shedding tears of emotions. People just restock for the new year. Shops selling food stock, livestock feed, boutique, chemist, what have you to mention? In fact, this is another economic hub of Ekpoma, in this area. As a matter of fact, we are crying out for help, and we are gracious that you have come to see this site yourself.
We are going after them. They are killing our people with the name they are Fulanis. They are not Fulanis. It's political elements. I will go after them. I'm serious. We have started arresting them. The burning down of this shop is still the same thing. The same people doing it. But there's nothing to fear. Our people will not suffer just for nothing. There is no way that we have peace in our place. We will go after all of them, no matter how highly placed they are, even if they are my father. I will not listen to anybody when the time comes. I just want you people to be patient. I'll make sure between now and Friday, they will come and start building this place for you people.
Away from Edo State, and this time Lagos, the High Court sitting in Tafawa Balewa Square, it has awarded the sum of $25,000 as damages in favor of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, in the $5 million lawsuit against Meta Platforms Incorporated, the US-based tech giant owned by Mark Zuckerberg, over alleged invasion of his privacy. In a judgment delivered today, Justice Olalekan Oresanya held that a global technology company such as Meta, which hosts pages for commercial benefit, owes a duty of care to persons affected by content disseminated on its platform. Mr. Falana, through his lawyer, Olumide Babalola, had accused Meta of publishing motion images and voice-captioned AfriCare Health Center on their website to the effect that he suffered a disease known as prostatitis, which constitutes an invasion of his privacy as guaranteed by Section 37 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. The suit was also filed pursuant to Section 24, subsection 1A and E and Section 31D of the Nigeria Data Protection Act 2023, Order 2, Rule 1, Fundamental Rights Enforcement Procedure Rules 2009. Mr. Falana said that the published false video about his health status has rubbished his image and the name he built over the years. He also argued that the publication by the respondent, which is false, offensive and disturbing, paints him in a false light that has caused him mental and emotional disturbances. In its judgment, the court rejected the notion that platforms can rely solely on hosting or intermediary arguments where the platform monetizes content and harm from misinformation is reasonably foreseeable. For Mr. Falana's lawyer, this issue reinforced a platform accountability standard under Nigerian law, which aligns with emerging global jurisprudence. The court also found that the fact that the applicant is a public figure does not rob him of his right to privacy. The publication of false medical information was found to intrude into the claimant's private life, regardless of his public standing. And as a global technology company with advanced resources, Meta is expected to implement effective content review mechanisms, rapid takedown processes, and safeguards proportionate to the risk posed by misinformation. Its failure to do so amounted to regulatory non-compliance. Coming up next is business news. That's it from Abuja. Will Libong is next.
Thank you, Millicent. Now, Nigeria is set to formally regulate its artificial intelligence sector as lawmakers prepare to pass the National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill. The Director General of NITDA, Kashifu Abdullahi, said the legislation would make Nigeria one of the first African countries with an economy-wide AI regulatory framework. The National Assembly is expected to approve the bill by the end of March. Meanwhile, Nigeria ranks 72nd out of 188 countries in the 2025 Government AI Readiness Index, making it one of the top-performing nations in sub-Saharan Africa. And the World Bank projects growth in low-income countries will average 5.6% in 2026 to 2027, supported by stronger domestic demand, recovering exports, and easing inflation, according to its latest Global Economic Prospects report. And despite the improvement, the bank says the pace is not enough to narrow the income gap with advanced economies, with per capita income growth in developing countries projected at about 3% in 2026. Meanwhile, global inflation is projected to edge down to 2.6% in 2026, reflecting softer labor markets and lower energy prices. Also, economic growth is expected to slow to 2.6% in 2026 before a slight pickup in 2027 as high debt levels and weak job creation continue to pose risk. Now, still outside Nigeria, leading central bank chiefs have voiced strong support for U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, following reports of a criminal investigation against him in the United States. And the heads of the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of Canada, among 11 senior policy makers who signed a joint statement stressing the importance of central bank independence and describing Powell as a highly respected colleague. The U.S. Justice Department is investigating the Fed chair over the cost of renovating the Federal Reserve building in 2025, while President Donald Trump says he's unaware of the probe. Back home, the Debt Management Office has launched its first federal government savings bond offer for 2026, aimed at retail investors with competitive rates and low entry requirements. Investors can subscribe to a 2-year bond due January 2028 at 14.396% per year, or a 3-year bond due at January 2029 at 15.396% per year. Now, each unit costs 1,000 naira per unit with a minimum subscription of 5,000 naira. Now, the subscription window opens Monday, January the 12th, and closes Friday, January the 16th, with settlement scheduled for January the 21st. And now we check in with the domestic equities market, which hits another fresh high today. Laddie Williams shares the highlights.
Well, January 2026 is shaping up to be a stellar month for Nigeria's stock market, with the index hitting new highs just like silver and most metals. Right now, we see a strong investor sentiment today, a big 1.59%, 165,000 points for the all-share index, and that came with big volume and value. Let's look at the top gainers today. We see Deep Cap, that's up a full 10%, 3.30 kobo. That's in financials, investment banking. The company had some news today, signing an MOU to commence, minerals and metals financing across Africa. Guess that's some bullish news there, and investors reacted. And we see E-Transact there up a big 10% to 16 naira 50 kobo. Look at the losers chart now. See some of the insurance stocks right there, Prestige, topping the counter at this point, mostly insurance stocks. Then we see the market mover, MTN Nigeria, adding a big 10% today, closing at 605 naira per share. So it was number 5 when you look at the top gainers this today. So, as January 2026 rolls on, one thing is clear. The market is not just drifting higher, it's being pulled up by conviction, liquidity, and big stories.
Thank you, Ladi. More big stories to come for the NGX. And let's see the snapshot of closing numbers for other major global stock markets around the world. And that's business. I'm Will Ibong is back to Anne for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, thousands of people are feared dead after a crackdown on weeks of anti-government protests in Iran. Iranians have described the terrible levels of death and destruction in their first calls to family abroad in days. Here's Simon Fuse with the rest of international stories and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. 2 Department of Defense officials have said President Donald Trump has been briefed on a wide range of covert and military tools for use in Iran. Long-range missile strikes remain an option for a potential U.S. intervention, but Pentagon officials have also presented cyber operations and psychological campaign responses. Trump announced a 25% tariff on goods from countries with commercial ties to Iran on Monday, as rights groups say more than 600 protesters have been killed in 3 weeks of anti-government protests. Videos continue to emerge of body bags lining the streets, even though capturing such moments on camera has become incredibly risky. Iran's foreign minister said Tehran is open to talks with Washington, but remains prepared for war.
They are risking their lives coming to the streets. They risk their lives to send us information. So it's really important that we believe in them and everything that they're saying. We have seen protests in every province across the country, in hundreds of cities.
A high-stakes appeal by far-right French politician Marine Le Pen has started against a ruling that banned her from running for public office for 5 years. Le Pen was found guilty last year of embezzling EU funds, and if the ban is upheld, she will not be able to stand in the 2027 presidential election. She denies any wrongdoing and, as the appeal was about to start, told reporters she was hopeful about the outcome. On Monday, the president of her National Rally Party said barring her from the election would be deeply worrying for democracy. The death toll in a collapsed landfill in the central Philippines has risen to 11. The landslide occurred at the Binilor landfill in Cebu City last week, while more than 100 workers were on the site. Rescuers have so far pulled 12 injured people out of the debris, but more than 20 people still remain missing. One local fire official had earlier said it was unlikely for people to still be alive 3 days after tons of debris collapsed over them. But signs of life were detected in the debris during a search on Monday. That's according to Cebu City Mayor, who added that officials remain in rescue mode. At least 20 people have been killed by a wild elephant in 9 days in the eastern Indian city of Jharkhand. That's according to an official, adding that the animal is yet to be captured. The deaths occurred between the 1st and the 9th of January in Chaibasa and Kollan forest areas of West Singhbum district, which are part of the largest sal forests in Asia. Human-elephant conflict has been reported in the region for years, with officials and researchers linking it to shrinking forest cover, habitat fragmentation and increased human activity near elephant corridors. Prosecutors have asked for South Korea's former president Yoon Suk-yeol to be handed a death sentence if he is found guilty over his botched attempt to impose martial law. A court in Seoul heard closing arguments in Yoon's trial, in which he was accused of being the ringleader of an insurrection. The charge stems from Yoon's attempt in December 2024 to impose military rule in South Korea, an act that lasted just hours but plunged the country into political turmoil. He was later impeached by Parliament and detained to face trial. Morocco says a 7-year drought has ended following abundant winter rainfall that has replenished dams and eased pressure on agriculture. The water minister said rainfall is up 95% from last year and above the seasonal average, with dam levels rising to 46% nationwide. The rains have brought relief after years of water shortages that cut crop yields, reduced livestock numbers, and accelerated investment in desalination projects. The government of Ghana says it has paid $1.47 billion to clear long-standing debts in the energy sector, a move officials say has restored stability to the country's power system and rebuilt investor confidence. The Ministry of Finance said the payments included $597 million to fully reinstate a World Bank partial risk guarantee that had been exhausted under the previous administration. The guarantee helps unlock nearly $8 billion in private investment for the offshore Cape 3 Points field and the Sankofa gas project. And Rosita Salvador Mabuyango has died after battling against a blood disorder anemia for years. That's according to her family. Rosita became known as Miracle Baby after being born in a tree which her mother had climbed to escape flooding in Mozambique. Carolina and Rosita were photographed in Washington in July 2000 during a short trip. According to her sister, she had been in hospital for more than 2 weeks, where she eventually died on Monday morning.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. On Sports News tonight, Super Eagles players Chidozie Awaziem and Igbo have confirmed the team is ready to take on Morocco in the semi-finals of the Cup of Nations. Our correspondent Austin Okonapan was at the team's final training session in Rabat and now reports.
Final training session before that crucial match between the Atlas Lions of Morocco and Nigeria Super Eagles. Big game for Nigeria, because to reach the final of this year's Africa Cup of Nations and win a 4th AFCON title, they must beat Morocco. It's a tough game, but hey, first thing first, they need to get ready. And that's what they're doing right there. That's the team under the supervision of Coach Eric Schell. And look, Coach Eric Schell keeps saying this team needs to improve. And to beat Morocco, they must show that improvement right there, because they are going to be playing against 11 good players, the referee, the crowd. Big test for the Super Eagles. I spoke to some of the players and they said, look, the mentality is right and they are ready to go all the way.
The game is very important for us because it's going to take us to the final when we win. So I think everyone is ready, focused, and though it's not going to be an easy game against Morocco, and we just do our thing. We just focus on ourselves, on the game, and try to get the job done.
I think we just need to do the same thing. I think there is nothing different. We just need to keep working hard because we have a lot of good
players. We have a lot of good energy in the team, and we just need to keep focused.
Yeah, that's the Super Eagles players confirming that they are ready for that crucial semi-final match against Morocco. This is the host team, and they also want to win this title. They haven't won this title in a very long time, and they've done so much. And don't forget, our women's team stopped their women in the final. So this puts so much meaning into this game against Nigeria. But hey, Coach Eric Shell, Alex Yobe, and the players of this saying, look, they are ready to go all the way. So wait to see. That's it. Austin Okonak, my channel's television news, Rabat.
And Super Eagles forward Alex Iwobi has also hailed Coach Eric Shell for creating a team spirit which has taken the Super Eagles to the semi-finals of the competition only 2 months after the dreams of World Cup qualification was ended in agonizing fashion. And that's your sports news tonight. I am Kelly. Eggy, guys, back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu has addressed world leaders in Abu Dhabi, urging equitable climate finance and strong capacity building for developing nations to meet climate commitments. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawado. Good night and stay safe.